even blonde, most of the people. I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing. Where are all the blondes? Okay.
Bill Maher just slammed Rachel Zegler and the woke Snow White disaster. Disney's attempt to modernize a beloved classic backfired, with Rachel Zegler trashing the original and audiences rejecting the remake. Bill Maher is calling it out, and his takedown is brutal.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White. She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
The 2025 remake of Snow White intended to recreate the 1937 animated classic, which featured love and kindness and an unnatural number of unemployed males residing in the woods. But what did we get instead? A $200 million failure at the box office achieved only $43 million at the opening weekend. At the same time, the leading actress spent 2 years criticizing the film. Rachel Zegler showed off her wrong assumption about the Mean Girls reboot auditions by repeatedly pointing out the original film's dated and strange qualities. Disney achieved its household status from this particular film. This is the version that appeals to audiences. The film transformed into a feminist declaration instead of a traditional fairy tale by showing Snow White succeeding without romance, dwarfs, or even a prince, and even without an audience, since no one attended. Hollywood movies tend to obsessively repair things that don't require any modification. All modern cinematic versions today must contain heavy political messaging that eventually destroys their original magic. The transformation exactly mirrored what happened during this production. The Snow White remake received more than minor modifications because it underwent an entire personality makeover. The prince? Gone. The romance? Gone. The charm? Obliterated. The new Snow White has thrown away her romance-focused plot to focus on monarchy destruction. And the dwarfs? The diversity transformation hit the dwarfs so hard that Peter Dinklage lost understanding. In an effort to avoid stereotyping, Disney removed every distinctive element from the original Snow White narrative. Their radical changes in the film led to the complete estrangement of every audience segment, from traditional Disney fans to families to casual viewers seeking pleasant entertainment.
And Rachel Zegler, being 23 or whatever she is, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantada is the only global solution. The two stars hate each other. And then they couldn't put dwarfs.
Bill Maher is the master of spotting false information during his critical examinations, and boy, did he see it.
The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work.
Maher burned down the Disney movie with the same intensity as a villainous character. The film received harsh criticism from Bill because he saw its apparent attempt to update something that worked well without modification. According to Maher, the new movie represented more than a poor adaptation because it directly defiled all aspects that made Snow White iconic. And Rachel Zegler? Maher's examination of Zegler's performance as an empowered woman completely failed to convince him. The character transformation from beloved princess to smug, whiny activist resulted when Zegler turned Snow White into an activist who dismissed love as an outdated relic. In Maher's summation, he stated, "This is a fairy tale, not a TED Talk." Rachel Zegler emerges as the actual hero of this disaster. For anyone absent from society or living in a house with 7 miniature inhabitants, Rachel Zegler has deliberately worked to upset Disney enthusiasts alongside conservative voters and fairy tale fans during the past few years. Public statements from Zegler attack the 1937 version of Snow White and describe the 1937 prince as a stalker while she demonstrates her superiority to the role. She launched a political attack against Trump voters even though such behavior damaged her public image.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. When I tell you that it's hard, I just mean to be inside my brain. And I'm there 24/7, I can't get out of it.
The aftermath of the backlash led her to perform one of those typical non-apologetic Hollywood apologies. The classic Hollywood non-apology. "You might have found my words offensive, but I regret that." Yeah, that went over well. The actress's film performance didn't help resolve the controversy she faced after the release. Audience members and critics noted that the actor appeared more focused on creating a point than performing naturally in her role. The performance lacked the genuine warmth and kindness of the original Snow White because she presented a character who displayed entitlement and distance, while forgetting fundamental aspects that made the character beloved. In Hollywood, you need to avoid insulting your audience at all costs. Rachel failed to understand the unwritten rule about avoiding fan hostility in Hollywood.
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
In her interview, she showed no gratitude for Snow White fans. Instead, she belittled the appreciation of the original film. She considered the audience's love for the 1937 classic to be both weird and outdated, suggesting that only people with outdated views could appreciate it. Zegler's comments failed to generate enthusiasm for the remake because they provoked negative feelings among the audience. Her discussion of the movie shifted from praise for a classic into a monologue that made audiences feel bad about their love for the original. Disney underestimated the harshness of internet users because they attempted this move. Social media platforms became filled with mean-spirited jokes, savage reviews, and numerous memes. The original Snow White fans from childhood, along with general movie spectators, united in their disapproval of the film. Mainstream media struggled to portray the intense criticism as toxic fandom since nearly every audience member united against this movie. YouTube critics destroyed the film, while TikTok users shared embarrassing Zegler interview moments, which led even the most devoted Disney fans to admit the movie was a massive failure.
And if you want to, or the Jasmine Crockett of Disney, if you want to look at why the Democratic Party has reached all-time lows, look no further than what Disney is doing with their woke, DEI, feminist agenda.
Disney invested all hopes in Snow White becoming a billion-dollar success. The movie was one of cinematic history's most significant box office failures. People used to stand in lengthy queues to watch Beauty and the Beast and the Lion King reboots. Yeah, not this time. Disney spent $200 million on a movie that failed to attract audiences as every theater remained vacant and fans avoided the theaters altogether. And the critics? Even they couldn't save it. The movie has faced harsh criticism through its poor IMDb score, which is next to the brutal Rotten Tomatoes audience rating, and Disney supporters' persistent struggle to find redeeming qualities. The failure of this film represents a clear warning signal to the company. The massive failure of Snow White has brought up doubts about whether Disney will stop producing their superfluous live-action adaptations. The situation appears unfavorable for them. The Little Mermaid, along with Peter Pan and Wendy, has proven to be their most disappointing and problematic remakes to date. Fans show no interest in endless reboot projects, expecting Snow White to mark their total demise. Disney may now recognize that it's time to return to its classic approach of delivering timeless stories instead of unrequited political adaptations. Hollywood will continue to refuse to learn any lessons despite the current situation. They never do. Hollywood will enact a combination of excuses, including blaming toxic fandoms and internet trolls. At the same time, they insisted that audiences weren't ready for their new vision. Audience members will continue to watch in confusion as the studio, which brought The Little Mermaid and Aladdin, transforms into a woke White and the 7 Canceled Career Opportunities production facility. This may be what the industry requires to understand. Audiences expect entertainment rather than lectures, so Hollywood should experience a severe enough failure to understand this basic principle. According to recent studio flops, studios should remember that movies exist to create entertainment experiences. As for Rachel Zegler, the film suggests that she should prepare alternative career options, because her audition capabilities seem insufficient. Snow White 2025 crashed and burned, but will Hollywood finally get the message? Or are we in for more lifeless, agenda-driven remakes? Only time will tell.